So, good night. Was it okay? Good. Big thanks, Demet for the excellent introduction. Thank you very much for the invitation and for organizing this event. It's going to be very interesting topics and discussions that we're going to have today on this very important topic on how to increase the timber construction. And I have to say that the work that you do here in Bahçeşehir University, that's amazing. Not the work, the promotion, and the research. So really happy to be here and contribute to the topic from the very specific topic of fire safety, which is very close to our heart at Nordtreat. I'm the CEO of Nordtreat, and now I'm gonna try to put on my part on the screen. Before I go into the contents of my presentation, I would like to make sure that everybody knows that this is an interactive session, and this is an excellent opportunity of asking any questions that you might have on wood construction and fire safety. This is what we are here for today. So please do not hesitate asking questions, raising hands, asking to go back to the topics or explain more if something is unclear. We are really here for you. And before I start, if I could ask how many of you are working with wood as a substrate? Yeah? I can see some hands there. Yeah? How many of you are dealing with fire safety of wood or having questions about that? Yeah? Can see some? Yes? Good. Very good. So this is really the topic that we are covering here today. How do these topics go hand in hand? My session is going to be more about the theme, like how to work with wood and fire safety, but I'm going to also tell about how we look at this topic from Nordtreat. So I'm going to go a little bit to the solutions, what we have developed, what kind of chemistry we are designing and developing to help designers, architects, industrial applicators, industrial companies to deal with this issue. I will start briefly of a personal introduction because I think it's only fair that you know who you are listening to today. I will make a brief summary and brief intro to the theme of fire protection from Nordtreat's side. Then I will dig a little bit deeper on how we do it, what are the flame retardants, how do they work. My colleague Pekka, who is our technical advisor, will go deeper in the technical topics in the afternoon, but I'm going to touch the topic a little bit. I'm going to talk about how we work, how we support our local partners here. There are today our local partners here represented, Mr. Alper. So we're going to discuss a little bit like how do we bring this competence to the market here in Turkey. I'm going to present my team. And finally, I'm going to talk about fire safety as a resilience issue, because for us, this is much more than just having time to evacuate and extinguish in a case of fire, but it is much more, and that has to do with the very topics that Mrs. Demet was discussing about. But I will briefly start with introducing myself. I come from the industry. I worked for 15 years for different industrial sectors, and I've been always doing international business. That's my passion and what I burn for. So I've led different businesses in Europe, of course, most of the time Finnish-based, but I've opened markets and done business in Russia, China, here in Turkey. I've been here several times, and I have to say I do love this country. Been to Central Asia, India. These are some of the main markets. And the last 12 years, I have worked with paints and coatings sector. So when we talk about chemicals today, fire retardants, this is really the area where I've been having the last and past experience for. And what is wonderful about working in a paints and coatings business is, of course, that you get to see a lot of things because paint is everywhere. So you actually learn so much about different industries and the use of different materials and spanning from energy sector to construction, machinery manufacturing. So it's really, really interesting. I've studied business in Helsinki and in the Netherlands, and now currently I'm actually studying global diplomacy in the University of London. And why I am bringing this up here is because my future London master's thesis topic is about this country. It is about, a research question is, how does Turkey's Middle Corridor trade diplomacy reflect and reinterpret the historical memory of the Silk Road and Ottoman trade traditions? And it might sound a specific topic for a Finn, but there is a reason for this. And the reason is why I state there that I'm a history fanatic. And when I say that, there are, of course, the fans of history, you always have some certain eras or certain periods or certain geographics that you love. And for me, it is this exact region here. So that's why I'm really, really honored also being here today and discovering some of the, also the historical restoration projects here in Turkey. If we then start thinking, like how do we, what is kind of the philosophy? What is the philosophy of Nordtreat? Why did we start this business, and how we came up with the concept of fire protection of wood? Coming from Finland, we actually do share a common history in that sense with Turkey, that we have really, really old traditions in wood construction. So we have huge amount of forests in Finland, and our housing, our buildings are largely made of wood. So we have this same tradition. So for centuries, wood has been a core material in architecture, and because it's known for its natural beauty, of course, but also the structural strength, what Demet was discussing about. If we think what has happened with the use of wood over a human lifetime, it has undergone a tremendous transformation from very local building material, our perhaps parents or grandparents building their log homes with their bare hands, to very big, great, grand designs, visionary projects all over the world. So this has been rather fast shift in the development of use of wood. Of course, one of the reasons for using wood is because it's loved by the people who are close to it, so who live in these places, who work there, and who play in these spaces. And it's because, of course, the nature of the wood. It's warm and it's beautiful, and it kind of brings you the feeling that you are close to the nature. This picture, by the way, is a kindergarten. It's a daycare center in Finland that has been protected with our flame retardants. You can't see them because you can just apply them as transparent products as well, but they are there. The wood is also loved by the architects because it's a very flexible material, as we heard, and it's also very because of the natural aesthetics. And of course, it's loved by the nature, as we heard earlier as well. It's a super sustainable alternative to carbon-heavy materials like concrete and steel. And it's also the carbon capture, as discussed. So all these benefits together, the story of wood is very strong, and so are the reasons to build with it. So why is it not more common then? There are definitely some challenges that have kept wood from living up to its full potential. We know, and all these grand plans for increasing wood construction, we know that there's much more we can gain with this, but there are some elements why there are still hesitations on using the full potential, and one of them is the fire. So even though we learned that it is wood per se is a very good and strong fire-safe construction material, but somehow the association, as we had the case about the fireplace, is that don't kind of bring wood to these risky places. We're going to show you later how wood can really be used in very critical places when it comes to critical infrastructure or very dense and busy city infrastructure. even in electricity stations and so on. But this is kind of the mindset that has been very dominant. And this is what we are here to discuss today, like how we can really improve already the good fire safety properties of the wood as a material. Also, if you think about the traditional flame retardants, it often, that has meant, because they have had to be very efficient, that had to meant that there are some toxic components in those chemicals, and those are typically so-called intumescents, which are not decorative paints. It's just very efficient flame retardants, but they are not decorative. And that means that you have had to hide the natural beauty of wood because you've had to cover the intumescent layer with something more decorative. So that's actually something that you just need to cover the wood. So the question for us has been that does it really have to be like that? So how could we combine the fire safety, the highest standards fire safety, and the decorative part of using the wood? So how can we really bring the natural beauty of wood visible and keep the flames away? So what we are really here for today, we think that those of you who are looking to build more of wood, there might be something here during today that might be of interest. The concept, the fire protection concept we have developed, it's bio-based. So we are talking about bio-based, non-toxic flame retardant coatings or paints, if you will. And they are certified to the highest European Union standards and regulations. And they come with a wide range of translucent tones and shades that can be customized. So not only are they efficient, compliant, but they are also bio-based and can be tinted to whatever architectural shade that is being specified for a wood construction project. Any questions about the intro part at this point? If not yet, I will then continue on how we've kind of come to this concept, how we built the flame retardant concept at Nordtreat. So if we think about how our urban living environments have been developing over the last years or decades, there are many drivers or trends that are very similar, no matter if it's in Finland or in China or in India or here in Turkey, that we kind of face these same challenges. So first of all, if you ask whomever, everybody would like to build more of wood. That's always the thing. So the ambition is there, and we know why. Because of the beauty, because of the sustainability elements. Construction sector in general contributes about 40% of the carbon emissions globally. So it's a huge carbon creation sector. So this is really it would be an excellent thing to build more of wood. But then at the same time, if we think about the amount of electronics that we bring to our homes, we have a huge number of these devices in our homes, and these cases of charging fires. Then we have the electric vehicle infrastructure, all this. So you have these kind of topics that are increasing. So there are also other increased fire risks, which is the warming climate, for example. So we see more and more of bushfires, wildfires. So kind of these risks are coming, they are increasing continuously. At the same time, of course, when we talk about fire safety, we talk about people's lives, we talk about liabilities, and liabilities and risks, they always come with high regulation. And that regulation is, of course, getting more tight all the time, and that means that it might add the complexity. It's not only the fire safety, but it's also the chemical safety. So more and more regulation is on the chemicals as well, not containing those toxic compounds and toxic components. So this is where we came up to think that there is a unique opportunity. People would like to build of wood, but then there are these kind of issues that are limiting this opportunity and hindering this opportunity. So this is what we want to help with. So we talk about flame retardant coatings. We talk about FR coatings. How do they work? So they are coatings that you put on the substrate, either industrially or applying them on site using spray gun, for example. And how they work is that in the case of fire, they either radically slow down the development of fire, the spreading of flames, or they stop it completely. That's kind of the working mechanism. The other thing that they do, how they function, is that they reduce the amount of smoke produced in the case of fire. And you can imagine, like, when there's a case of evacuation and you have less smoke, you have better visibility also when you need to evacuate. These coatings, they also minimize the amount of flaming droplets. And flaming droplet is something that might, for example, start burning other materials around the burning area. So when you don't have these flaming droplets, that also reduces the risk of surrounding materials burning. And then these meet the highest Euroclass fire classification for wood products. So the highest classification that the wood as material can get. That's possible to do with these kind of flame retardants. And my colleague Pekka will speak more about these standards and regulations then in the afternoon session. But then, because of these classifications, these flame retardants have to be very efficient, and many times that has come then with this using of toxic materials. So what we have developed is something called Norflam. This is our solution name. It's a maintainable flame retardant that protects wood without covering its true character. So I will briefly go through what that really means. So first of all, it's a very rare solution that combines both the fire protection properties and the decorative properties. So you only use one material of achieving the design, shade and color what you want. It also comes with the weather resistance. So in that sense, it's like a normal paint, but it just has to have the fire properties. The material is translucent, and that means that you can see the wood through, so it doesn't hide and cover the wood. You can tint it to very dark shades or whatever shades, and it actually you can make it quite covering, so it's hard to see if it's really opaque or translucent, but you will always see and feel the wood through. So it doesn't create like a barrier hiding the wood there. It has long-term durability and maintenance programs, and this is something very important because this is one product, so you can actually maintain it over the construction project life cycle. Typically, when the flame retardant is under a traditional paint, you cannot maintain the fire properties. But because this is the only one product, you can, after years and years, you can keep on maintaining the fire properties also. It is bio-based and it has low VOC, doesn't contain any harmful compounds, no harmful chemicals, and it has very, very low environmental impact because it's bio-based. And we do have verification by Environmental Product Declaration, EPDs, for the solution. And you can have them in different Euro classes. B is the highest, and there are use cases for C and D as well for different timber products and wood types. So that's very briefly about what we are discussing today. When me and my colleagues, when we go around and talk about this topic in different countries, it's very visible that this need for these kind of solution is universal, and it's actually what we hear also is that this will to leave the wood visible is there. Earlier, it hasn't. If you have wanted to protect the wood from fire using traditional entombments, you have had to kind of cover the wood. And this is the message that we want to give here: is that you don't need to compromise here if you use these kind of translucent solutions. These are all our reference cases. So these are all projects where we have been involved in different ways. So, for example, the ABN AMRO bank headquarters in Amsterdam. This is something that we've done together with, there has been a Swiss CLT, cross-laminated timber manufacturer. So we have supported the industrial manufacturer in Switzerland, and then they have protected their CLT beams in Switzerland and then transported them to Amsterdam. And then we have supported a local Dutch and German on-site application companies who do some protection there on-site. So to these kind of projects, we can help from different angles, no matter whether they are industrially applied or if they are applied on-site. When I mentioned about the critical infrastructure, one good example is this Fingrid electricity substation in Helsinki. So this is a huge CLT glulam manufactured hall, and this is the first one in Finland where this kind of electricity station is actually inside a wood building. And again, this is the whole area of wood is protected with our flame retardants. David from London is the right person to speak more about the London references. We have Olympia Theatre project that is being constructed at the moment. The CLT comes from Austria, so we are supporting the Austrian partner there to make the application. The other one from London, we actually do have 2 underground stations. And these, you can imagine that London is one of the cities that also next to Istanbul has had very bad fires. And if we think about the infrastructure of the city, and if we think about like how critical these underground stations are in a topic of safety, it was really a huge thing for us that they could build that of wood. So all those CLT structures that you see there in the Collindale example, they are protected with our concept and solutions. We have some residential houses here in Paris, in Sweden. The Paris one, those exterior parts are protected. This is really in the center of Paris, so excellent example there. CD Project Red office in Warsaw. If anybody has ever heard of a game Witcher, this is the home place for that. It's a huge gaming company in Poland, so their head office is also protected with our solutions. So these are a couple of examples what can be done, but they will then discuss more in detail, like how did we do it and who were the counterparts and how was the kind of the co-design and co-creation done. So we are a chemical manufacturing company, but we do think that we have a bigger role in this theme and around this theme. And we do have a big ambition and mission increasing the global use of timber. We would like to see that increasing because we could help empowering the decorative use of fire-protected use. So having more visible wood because it can be fire-protected in a beautiful way. It doesn't need to be hidden with some fireboards or some other solutions, but it can be out there and being very visual. We also know that this area can be quite complex. It comes with a lot of liabilities and regulations. So one of our aims is to really help to remove those obstacles, to take some of the burden away. And what we also want to take responsibility for is to support the whole construction value chain. So from design and architects to the actual construction, the contractors, the subcontractors, the applicators. Everybody should have access to same quality information and know-how on how this could be done better. Here's one example. This is a residential building from Helsinki, Finland. And now when I mentioned about the translucency, this is what it actually means. So you can see the feeling and the nature of the wood through. But you can have these kind of colors. So this is one and only product. It is and this kind of shows how this is both the functional flame retardant, but also a decorative coating. And in this case, the architecture has selected this tone, and then we have matched the shade to the specification. So what we want to say is that there's no need to make compromises between the beautiful surfaces and fire-safe surfaces. They can come in one package, and then they can be maintained. The other target was to help to remove the obstacles and complexity around this topic. So if we think what might make this a little bit challenging is that, first of all, we do have the sustainability requirements. And that's, of course, it's a driver for us. But many times that also comes with quite a lot of regulation. It comes with, if you need to do life cycle assessments, you need to collect data. So how to do that? You have different kind of standards you need to meet. So this is one way how we can help and support reaching those goals and contributing to those goals with these kind of bio-based materials. The other thing, what I mentioned earlier, is this changing regulatory requirements. So even though European Union, for example, they have one common regulatory framework, but how the different countries in European Union interpret and enforce those regulations, they actually vary. So on top of these EU-wide regulations, there are national country-based regulations which might be very different. So if you do a project that will be, let's use the Swiss case, for example. So a Swiss company is manufacturing CLT to a Dutch project. So you have to kind of be sure that all those regulations are fulfilled between those two countries. And also the regulation is changing, and we know that after these some tragic events that we had here in Turkey some while ago, there was also a rapid change in regulation here. So that's something that we all need to think about. And not to make this very simple, then if we think about all the wood species that there are available, different kind of manufacturing mechanisms. If you have cladding or you have CLT, you have glulam. If the cladding is sawn or fine sawn, or if it's planed, you have to think about this, especially in the manufacturing phase. But this is kind of our daily job. This is what we work on everyday basis, and that's why we feel that it's our responsibility to help take these complexities away, so that you and everybody would feel, let's say, more at ease when designing of wood. The third target was to support the whole construction value chain. It all, of course, starts with the planning and specification. So what kind of wood surfaces there could be in a project, and how the structure is being built, and how to ensure the fire safety of that wooden structure when in operation. So that's one phase where we can support, and David will talk more about that. But here in this picture, on the upper center part is a picture of an industrial line. So what we do a lot is that we support and supply to these industrial lines. So the solution can be used there. Either they are automatic lines or semi-automatic or manual lines, but the product can fit there. And the other way to do it is that we support the the on-site application. So here in the picture, there is a spray gun and the product is being applied directly on site. And then you can combine these two. On the right-hand side, there is actually a example of thermal wood using our fire-protected material on top of it. So it looks quite like a translucent paint, but the difference is that it's also fire-protected and it can be maintained. Any questions at this point that I could directly answer? Yes, please.
How long does this flame retardant last under natural conditions such as sun, rain, or snow? Does it take years, or like 5 years, 10 years, or how often does it need to be renewed?
Yes, excellent question. We will deep dive into that because there are special elements, as you might imagine. But yes, it's years. So you can compare it. If you have wood stains, for example, you can they are really comparable. But then, of course, the maintenance cycle, it really depends on the conditions. And understanding, for example, the conditions here, they are very different than they are, for example, up north in Finland. And imagining the UV exposure, the salt, the humidity here, they all impact, but that you all know very well because that's the case with normal wood stains, for example, and normal paints as well. But we can deep dive into that question then in the technical part more. Excellent question. Other questions at this point? I'm really happy that you asked. Okay, if not, then I'm gonna introduce my team, because this is really a team of full of superpower and a huge ambition and a kind of interest around this topic. So bear with me if I'm excited about this, but I think that's what I should be. So we are based in Finland. We have our laboratory and product development and research center there. We produce there, and that's where kind of the main share of the team is based. We are approximately 25 people working on this fire protection of wood only. And on top of the people working in Finland, then we have our colleagues in a number of European countries based in France, in UK, in Poland, in Sweden, and so on. And on top of that, we have a partner network then in different countries. So we are training partners, also training them technically, but also around this topic of wood construction, so that they can support in countries where we don't have own salespeople. And you can imagine that the big ambition that we have compared to the size of the company we are, it means that we somehow need to be bigger than our size, really. And when you run a business like this, one way to do it is to try to find people who have kind of more skills than what they are hired for. And that's why one reason why I'm super proud of the team, because they all do kind of much more based on their competencies or interests than what they are there for. Underneath is my management team, and I just use this always as an example. So for example, my chief financial officer, he comes from Ministry for Foreign Affairs of Finland. And the reason why I'm happy about this is that you can imagine what are those international trade promotion networks with that kind of background. So this is one way to kind of make this bigger and faster and have bigger impact. So for example, here in Turkey, we have excellent connections already to the Embassy of Finland here. And we are working very closely together to think how we can do more of these kind of events, for example. How can we spread the word on fire protection of timber together better? We have very nice experience also, because of course we need to now think how to improve and scale the production and supply chain, make sure the logistics works to all locations like here. So we have experienced people to take care of that. We think a lot about marketing, not only how we want to market our solutions, but what kind of messaging is important for local markets like here. So that's how when we cooperate a lot with the local partners to make sure that our story resonates, but also that we get the right feedback from the market, right feedback from you, so we understand what is important in this specific market here. So we can then keep on developing our solutions towards those needs. R&D, of course, very important for us. We really want to be the forerunners in developing these things, having all the time the sustainability, keeping the eye on the bio-basedness, and staying ahead of the competition, how to make these kind of sustainable products in the market. And then, of course, working with products and our offering. So this is our team. And how we work. This is another thing. Again, when being smaller company, you need a bigger ecosystem when you want to make a difference. And how we do this is that we very, very closely work with our partners, with our distributors. We invite them to Finland to have thorough training. It was only last week that our Turkish partner was in Helsinki, in Finland, and they were doing the spraying themselves, really trying out the products, understanding how they behave on different wood species. And we were discussing also like how to make these kind of events and deliver the information to the local market. We love to visit customers and customer sites. You will see some examples from this country soon as well. Really want to go there where these things happen, to hear directly what you are facing, what are the challenges, what the construction sites are facing, what the industrial lines are facing, and making sure that we can really kind of hear them firsthand and then support there. So this is really important for us. So this is also a kind of collaboration that you might expect in this market as well. Then we also have a team in Turkey. Yeah, sorry, I kind of crashed that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I'm a walking hazard, by the way, but yes. So we have set up also a local concept here. Do you need the batteries? They are here. Yeah.
Let me fix.
Yeah. Thanks, Murat. So we have a dedicated team for on the Finnish side. So you might by now understand why I'm involved. But then we have David from the architect side. Do you just want to stand up and say hi? So you will be up there soon. Then Markus is not here, but he's responsible for the technical trainings, the on-site industrial technical support. So he's the one who's making sure that our local partners here will get trained and educated to kind of to the same exact standards as we are there back home. And then we have Mr. Pekka, who is our technical expert in fire protection and construction. So this is like where Markus is more on how to apply the product. Then Pekka's expertise is on how to kind of design the elements, the constructions together with the flame retardants so that they are compliant and that they, for example, perform well in the fire tests that need to be done. So this is our kind of Finnish/UK team. And then we have a local partner, BAU Mimarlık, and here Mr. Alper is our local partner together with Mrs. Nagehan. Murat Bey over there, he's our local rocket, making sure that all the contacts and networks and everything kind of runs smoothly. The dear partners are also making sure that the products are being they are storing the products here, so the local availability is here, and they can also take care of the tinting locally. So we don't need to do tinting in Finland, but rather based on the projects, they can be done here in Turkey based on projects. So that will be much easier. And then finally, and I would say almost most importantly, Mr. Fikret, who is not here, but he's our local application support. So he's the one who can then ensure on site here that the applications are done correctly. And why it is really important that things are being done correctly is because we are talking about the compliance, that they need to be done in a way that it really the end result is as it should be. So this is how we want to secure that these high quality and standards will be met in every project that there will be. Yes, now you have met our team here. I will close my session by talking something else than the product. Of course, we are a product manufacturer and this is our passion. But if you really think about it, we are talking about much bigger phenomenon. Fire safety for us is about resilience. And how that resilience is emerging, it's not only that we have more time to evacuate or escape when there is a fire. It's also that we are able to create something that is sustainable. So we do things in a good way. We feel proud that this is how we've done. We've seen those excellent examples of projects built of wood. It's also about protecting history and heritage. Like even if it wouldn't be people's lives attached. So if there's an empty old wooden church somewhere, but that's about our history. It's about our cultural heritage. And if we can protect that, it's also worth something. And that contributes to the topic of resilience. Resilience is also about being able to live in harmony with nature. And that for me means that bringing the nature close. And in many urban constructions and cities, if you look around, it's much about steel and glass and concrete. So you kind of feel a little bit isolated of the nature. So having those log houses, having those the feeling of wood, for example, in the elderly care or senior center, that has a value itself. Resilience is also about having trust and peace of mind. So if we at home or in the places where we work or where our kids go to school, if we can feel a bit more at ease, that's also contributing to the feeling of resilience and kind of the belief that things will go good, they will go well. And one very important thing when we think about resilience is about our critical infrastructure and how to keep things operational in cases of crisis. So this has to do now with, for example, the London underground stations. So if there is a fire, so how do we keep infrastructure up and running and it doesn't get demolished or burnt down? And the same is then with the electricity station, which is actually there on the upper right-hand corner. That's a beautiful picture of the CLT and wood elements in that electricity hall. That's actually two of my colleagues painted the whole building because we wanted to make sure that it's really top quality and top standard. So we made it ourselves. There's one picture of this. It's a Polish wood church that has been protected with our solutions. We just heard that there are some wooden mosques here as well. So that's quite amazing what kind of jewels there are if you really kind of look deep. And this is the picture here. This is the other underground station, Surrey Quays in London. And there you have the roof structure that is now protected with our coating. These stations are now operational, right?
Soon to be.
Soon to be. Okay, so
January, February, March.
we would be they will be opening 2 stations. Yeah. Completely open. Yeah. Yeah, I visited, we see some photos there, visited and we were kind of, one of them we were kind of looking from, on the other side of the fence. This one we were able to go in really. Yeah. Wonderful, but you will tell more about these projects. Of course, when we then think about this resilient topic, I think we saw the roof in a little bit different conditions earlier in Demet's presentation. Haydarpaşa station, one excellent example of the beautiful history. It's a landmark. It represents different things to different generations in this country, and this country is full of these examples. Not only here in Istanbul, but all around Anatolia, for example. Beautiful historical cities, beautiful historical buildings that kind of deserve to be preserved. And I have had the honor and privilege of visiting some of these sites over the last year or so. You might recognize some of these places. We see the Sirkaji station here renovation. Perhaps some of you are even involved in these projects. It's huge restoration works. We see the palace here as well, the roofing of the palace, the Haydarpaşa roof structure from inside. So you can actually see how much there is. If you look at these buildings first, you might look that they are all stone and marble and concrete, but there's actually quite a lot of wood inside. And many times these roofing parts are the parts which are very vulnerable to fire. So it is also possible to protect these old wood structures so that they would not be risked for other bigger fire events. I really hope that there will be more of these sites to be visited in the future. These are beautiful examples already, but as said, this country is full of these landmarks, and not only historical landmarks, but wooden buildings throughout the country that earn to be preserved. With this, I will end my introduction session to the topic of how to increase wood construction together with good and efficient flame retardants. I have put my own LinkedIn QR code here. You can also find me with my name. So if you are interested following our adventures here and elsewhere, I'm really happy to connect here. In the lower part, it's the Nordtreat LinkedIn. So there we are updating all the time about our projects, about our references, all the new technologies and so on. So I'm really, really happy if you want to follow us there. And during breaks, feel free to come and talk and discuss. I'm really, really happy to connect and support, and the whole team is, absolutely. And whatever questions you might have now or come up with later, these are the right channels to discuss through. So we are really happy to take these topics also, or organize Teams meetings if you want to have some internal sessions on fire safety in your specific project, for example. We are really happy to support also together with our partners then in those events. That said, çok teşekkürler. You have been a great audience, and really, really looking forward to the discussions towards the end of the day. Thank you.